All right, we're going to go ahead and ready to get started over here. So if you wouldn't mind making your way to some seats. And we will start as we always do. Pat, would you like to give an invocation for us, please?
I can go first, actually.
What? Oh, I got this one. I'm sorry.
There you go.
There it is.
Because I have a
Ask for the pledge of allegiance and all please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The name of this film is called October's Party. October's Party. The leaves by hundreds came, the chestnuts, oaks, and maples, and leaves of every name. The sunshine spread a carpet, and everything was grand. Miss Weather led the dancing, Professor Wynn the band. The chestnuts came in yellows, the oaks in crimson dressed. The lovely Mrs. Maple and Scarlet looked their best, all balanced to their partners and gaily fluttered by. The sight was like a rainbow fallen from the sky. Then in the rusty hollows at hide and seek they played. The party closed at sundown and everybody stayed. Professor Wynn played louder. They flew along the ground, and then the party ended in jolly hands around. A little sense of humor. A little girl was sitting on her grandfather's lap as he read her a bedtime story. From time to time, she would take her eyes off the book and reach up to touch his wrinkled cheek. She was alternately stroking her own cheek and then his again. Finally, she spoke up. "Grandpa, did God make you?" "Yes, sweetheart," he answered. "God made me a long time ago." "Grandpa, did God make me too?" "Yes, indeed, honey," he said. "God made you just a little while ago." Feeling their respective faces again, she observed, "God's getting better at it, isn't he?" Some days ago, as I left the meeting at our church, I desperately gave myself a personal TSA pat-down. I was looking for my keys. They were not in my pockets. A quick search in the meeting room revealed nothing. Suddenly, I realized I must have left them in the car. Frantically, I headed for the parking lot. My wife, Diane, has scolded me many times for leaving the keys in the ignition. My theory is the ignition is the best place not to lose them. Her theory is that the car will be stolen. As I burst through the doors of the church, I came to a terrifying conclusion. Her theory was right. The parking lot was empty. I immediately called the police. I gave them my location, confessed that I had left my keys in the car and that it had been stolen. Then I made the most difficult call of all. "Honey," I stammered. I always call her honey in times like these. "I left my keys in the car and it has been stolen." There was a little period of silence. I thought the call had been dropped, but then I heard Diane's voice. "Ken," she barked, "I dropped you off." Now was my time to be silent. Embarrassed, I said, "Well, come and get me." Diane retorted, "I will, as soon as I convince this policeman I have not stolen your car." You all please bow your heads for a word of prayer. Father God, thank you for another opportunity that we have to come together as fellow beekeepers, to fellowship with each other. Bless each one here as well as their apiary. Thank you for each day that we have to share our bounties with others. Bless the food to the nourishment of our bodies, and bless the ones who prepared it. Keep us safe as we each depart to our separate homes. In Jesus' name, amen. I also have a couple announcements that I'd like to make. On October the 19th, over at, I don't know if you're familiar with the Mason-Dixon Park over on Buckeye Road, where they're having a buckwheat pancake festival. From 8 to noon will be the breakfast, but from 10 to 3 is the actual festival. And I was talking to the overseer there, her name is Angela, and she said she would love to have some honey beekeepers to come to sell honey. So if you're interested, I have a phone number here and the address to the park. If any of you are interested, October the 19th is on a Saturday. And also, if anybody's interested, through the FFA from UHS, I'm taking orders for apples if anybody would like to buy some apples. They're due October 23rd, and they come in on November the 2nd, I believe. That's all I have.
Thank you so much. All right, we have one of these up here. I also have a quick announcement. It's from the folks here at the Mon County Center. They officially have their Mon County Community Seed Library open. It's something they've been working on here for a few months. They have an entire library. Unfortunately, because it's after hours, we can't have access to see it, but I'm told it looks really cool. It's in an old card catalog, and they have it set out at the front. But basically, if you would like to schedule a time to get some native seeds from our area that you can plant anywhere, I believe it's open to anyone in the community, you can email or call the number on these flyers. There's a stack of them over there. We were tasked with trying to get the information out so that folks use this. It's one of those community resources that if folks don't use it, it'll end up going away. It's a really cool thing. So share as much information as we can. That's our goal. So if you have questions about this, you can email or call Shelby. She's the contact for us here with the Mon County Center. So she works here 9 to 5 and sets this up for us in the evenings. And if you have any other questions about that, give it a go. All right, we're going to start with our old business as we do. We have had. Okay. Let's go back. Okay. Whew. That's Charlie doing the bee beard. The videos never work. The one time it works, it was the speakers out. Anyway, that's Charlie and the bee beard. I thought it was a cool opportunity that we had this year again for the second time in a row to travel around with Charlie to see or to show folks the bearded ladies and how a demonstration of how gentle honeybees can be. We have a lot of fun doing it. That was one of our demonstrations at the West Virginia State Honey Festival. We did 2 demonstrations there, another demonstration at the Italian Heritage Festival this year, which is 3 for this year, and I think we did 3 or 4 last year. So people get pretty excited around the state to see Charlie. But we also had a booth at the West Virginia State Honey Festival. You'll see Mon County kind of took up one entire corner of the inside room at that honey festival. It was really neat to see us representing there with our Marion County friends and folks as well. But Amy, our treasurer, won first place in the Blind Choice Honey Tasting Contest at the Honey Festival, which I think is a pretty big deal. Charlie and I tied for 5th. We were in there, yes.
How many was it? 5? 16.
there was only 5.
You were 16. You guys can't win both handsome gentlemen and the honey.
That's true. But people were very excited to buy honey from the bearding ladies. I thought that was really cool to see the response after doing the show, seeing all the folks that were so excited to get that honey from Charlie. It's just neat. It's such a gimmicky festival, and it's a fun one that we always get to go to. I don't have any videos for this, but at the same weekend, we also attended the Mon County Fair. I'm really glad you just popped in, because I'm gonna call on you if you don't mind. You were here for the Mon County Fair. Did you have fun?
I did. We
Okay.
had a really good time. We were, I was set up over in this corner here with everything that you guys had set out.
Yeah,
There was a lady here before me, and I think she was here most of the week probably.
Elisa. Yep.
Yeah, Lisa.
Mhm.
And I came the last day and was here for about 5 hours and talked to a lot of people and had a really good time.
Yeah, good. That's awesome. The festival staff said that they loved having us again this year. They were thankful that we were able to do it. I was thankful that we were able to do it. Having two festivals on the same weekend was trying for us to be able to split resources, but we were able to do it and do it well. So thank you guys for helping out with all of that. It made a great show for the club for the county fair. And it was a great opportunity to sell some honey. Did you have honey to sell?
I did, yeah.
Did you sell it? You sold a couple jars, I think you told me, right?
Sold a few jars,
Yeah,
yeah,
good.
over $100 worth, so.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
A lot of people were interested, so it was just, I had a blast talking to everyone.
Good.
Yeah.
Good, I'm glad. Thanks again.
Yeah.
And thanks to Elisa and Chance and the other folks that were there. I don't remember who all was signed up for that, but anybody that was there, thank you for being there. The next festival that we attended was the West Virginia Italian Heritage Festival. That ended up being a bit more of a event than what we were expecting. Yeah, so we actually, you guys were set up Friday and Saturday, right? I know Paxton was there Friday as well. And Friday was apparently a very good day, nice and easy. We came on Saturday. The Bee Beer demonstration was supposed to be at 2 and at 4 on Saturday. I don't know if you guys remember that weekend. It was the weekend right before what was supposed to be last month's meeting. But there was some terrible weather, crazy winds. It hit the Italian Heritage Festival very hard. So that display that you see right there, that's actually the only picture we have of it, because it was demolished. It picked up both of those tents and sent them flying. Poor Pat was hanging on to the end of it, trying to hold it down. It flipped all of our tables. We lost multiple jars of honey between the 2 or 3 of us that were there. We lost lots of stuff. If anybody that was there found any hexagons, we're still missing those. We have these little hexagons that our stuff sits on. We still can't find those. And you have to think we were doing the Bee Beard that day. We'd actually done the Bee Beard at 2 o'clock. You can see.
That is about 12:30.
Yeah.
Oh, was it 12:30?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 12:30 and then 4 is what it was. I'm sorry. We did it 12:30 and then we were going to do it again at 4 and right around 3:30 is when everything went nuts. So that was our first demonstration. We didn't get to do a second one and I didn't know what was going to happen with the bees in the tent. I thought that tent was going to go flying, and thankfully it did not. It had all 4 of us hanging on to it. It was a very interesting experience. We were all beaten and bruised and battered there afterward. And then I ended up sick, and just about everyone in my house ended up sick, which is why we didn't have a meeting last month. So I apologize that we weren't able to be here last month. Our speaker also lives in my house. So it was just a rough month last month for us, but we spoke with the officers. We decided it was best to just kind of hold off, get everybody together this month. So that's what we did. So we thank you guys for your courtesy, and we appreciate it. But it was a fun festival. If they invite us back, I would love to do it again if the weather's not going to be as bad. I think it would be fun. I would like to be in a different place than where we were maybe. Yeah, both of our canopies got torn to shreds. Brand new canopy that we had just bought for the club. Luckily, I called Sam's Club. They're willing to take it back. It's not been that long, so they're just going to give me a new one, but it's going to be the same quality, so we'll see. But that was how that festival went. It was kind of a crazy nightmare. But again, while it was fun, it was very fun, and we got to talk to a lot of people, got to share what we love with a lot of people, and got to show Mon County to some other folks throughout the state, which was fun. And we had a Pro Suite order. Thank you to everyone that got involved with the Pro Suite order. I hope that you've put it to good use. If you ordered Pro Suite and are here and didn't pick up your Pro Suite, which I don't see anybody at this point, then you need to get with Al if you see this. But I think what we've decided is if you haven't already claimed your Pro Suite We're going to give it back to anybody who is still
I
in
think
need.
it's already sold, I went back.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's sold.
I've done that.
I lied. While I was up here blabbering, it's gone.
George was on the list, if he gets two, and
Yep.
the other members who are on my list get two, and then, I mean, it's
We're
still Mary
finished.
Ellen, no, not Mary Ellen, sorry, Jamie and, Sean.
Okay. Jamie and Shauna, and I messaged Shauna and we'll try to get with Jamie. But if you didn't get Pro Suite, you do need Pro Suite, we can figure it out for you. There's still buckets floating all over the place, so let me know. More? I was gonna say you were there that day. Are you drinking it?
No, they ate it all.
Yeah.
No buckets.
Well, and thanks again to everybody that helped out. You've been housing it for ever, but thank you. We appreciate you. Bob, who went and drove to get it, we appreciate you as well. Final price on that ended up being bucket and all for a 5-gallon bucket. $30.95, we rounded to $40. So really, really good price for what we were able to get again for folks this year. So thanks to everyone involved. Make sure to update and register your hives. I say this every month, that's why I put it in old business, but now's the time where you want to make sure your registration is ready for winter, because this is where you're going to start losing. So if anything happens, bear damage, etc., you want that final count. So make sure your hives are registered. If you're seeing anything, get back. If you're seeing anything weird this time of year, make sure you give Paxton a call. He's always happy to come out and help. Anybody's got anything weird going on they need Paxton to come visit that we can talk about? I'm not going to admit it in front of everybody. All right, we'll move on to new business. Treasurer's report, Amy, this one's on you.
So, you can see we've had money coming in and out between the, Fort Pro and our Pro Suite, and then some new, membership. So, the only expense this month that's gone out is our email subscription, and we're sitting at a balance of $7,351.53. There is some money, I was at last week's meeting, so money has come in for, I appreciate the officers who take up the slack while I wasn't here on collecting the rest of the Form and Pro. So, we're sitting well, we just need to know.
We are, and there's probably still a lot of cash. I don't think any of the cash from that has been put in here. Maybe some of it has. But we still have a lot of cash to deposit, so there's still probably more going in. You'll notice the miscellaneous income. I labeled that miscellaneous, but we have a shop online if you guys want Mon County gear and swag and stuff. Somebody purchased a beanie and a couple shirts and some other things, so that's what the miscellaneous income is. I never know what to call it, so I just call it miscellaneous. Yes, thank you. State report, Deb, anything to report for the state?
Just the conference coming up this weekend.
I thought that was my eyes for a second. Yeah, this weekend, 4th and 5th, Battler's Knob. I'll be honest, we're driving both days for it. I think it's not that long. You're driving as well. I don't think it's going to be that bad of a drive. If you are on the fence about going and haven't registered, I think they're going to be taking day of registration. So I'd advise it. There's going to be some good speakers, a lot of good breakout speakers, some good vendors. Hive IQ is going to be there. I don't think we've got to see them before. I'm excited to see what they have to offer. We've seen some things like them, but we haven't exactly had their style yet, so that'll be fun.
We need a team for the Buzz Bowl.
And we need, if you are going and you are going to be there is a Buzz Bowl. It is basically like a beekeeper quiz bowl. It is all in fun, but they want every club to try to come up with a team. So if you're going to be there, you're going to be around. Let us know. We can get a few of us together and make a little team to see if we can win the glory. I don't think there's much glory, but we'll win it either way.
I knew they were saying that they had all trouble with registration. Are they taking, like, if somebody would go there and want to pay, if they go in and do that?
Yeah, they're taking registration lockout.
Okay.
Yep,
But they won't get fed.
correct. I can't confirm that 100%, but you likely won't don't expect to get fed, I guess.
Is there any?
You might get fed because there oftentimes is extra food, but I'm not gonna say that and be wrong, so don't expect to get fed if you or walk the ticket.
Is there any fast foods down there?
Yes, there are a few restaurants down there. There's a few mom and pop restaurants. There's a Hardee's, I think. We were trying to look up, we actually, the other day, were watching Fortune and Fire. I don't know if any of you guys watched that, but there's a guy from Philippi on there. And he said he worked at a fast food restaurant, so we're looking up all the fast food restaurants in Philippi. There's not very many, but there's like 3 or 4. So there are some options for food there. Any other questions? All right. And Steve Rapatsky is actually going to be giving the talk that he never gives or gets to give when he comes here. So normally you guys get to see him and he gives the swarm talk because that's kind of his thing, right? But he also has a brood management talk that he's going to be giving at the conference. So. All right, I'm going to mention this again because I'm still excited about it and I only got to mention it for the first time last meeting. But in conjunction with the West Virginia Department of Education, our club was granted $17,000 to put together a beekeeper in training education program for Mon County, and through that to be used throughout the state. We're very excited about that. It kind of fell into our lap. They were looking for something to do with the money, reached out to us if we wanted it. I'll be honest, the amount of paperwork that we filled out to get it was very minimal. It was more of a, yes, we'll take it if you guys want to give it to us and we'll figure out what to do with it. And it turned into something. Mrs. Davis, Karen Davis, is a teacher at Eastwood Elementary. She is the head of our beekeeper training program. And so I put her in charge of this. As well, and she's going to want help. So as we learn to grow this, if anybody is interested or has experience with children's education, things like that, please let me know. We can always use more folks on the bid train, on the bid committee to kind of grow this program. But basically, we have $17,000. We have 2 years to use it. It's a reimbursement grant, so we spend the money, they give us the money back directly into our bank account. So another reason to bring that up is because throughout the next couple of years, you're going to start seeing random things show up here that will say, you know, bid suits or bid whatever. It'll be things that are coming in and things that are going for that program. But we are very excited about it. I'm really thankful to the Department of Education for considering us. Beekeeping isn't always something that gets a big, agriculture in general isn't always something that gets a big spotlight. So anytime they give us even a little spotlight, I'm thankful to take it and do as much as we can with it. So we're excited to do some things with that.
Does this cover K through 12?
It covers anything we want it to cover.
I mean, all
Yes.
grades?
Yes, it covers all grades, K through 12. We're trying to make sure that it's set up for any school age kids so that it can be used for homeschool, and it can be used for just any programs that we can support. We want to be able to support. Because the money's for the county, not necessarily for the schools directly, if that makes sense. We want it to be used for the students regardless of where they are. Other questions? Oh man, you guys knew this was coming. All right, we need nominations for a new secretary. Kevin, which I can pop over to this next slide, who's not able to be here this evening, has served 4 terms as our secretary. The limit as per our bylaws is 4 consecutive terms. We need a nomination for a new secretary. Do I have anyone who is interested or anyone who thinks anyone would be nomination worthy? Nominee worthy? Nominatable?
I'll nominate whoever wants to do it.
I'll be honest, these gigs are all fun gigs. We have a lot of fun working together. We have a lot of fun putting together meetings and things like this. The secretary's main function is to pay attention to the meetings, so you guys already do that. They also keep notes that we take and turn into the newsletter. They keep track of the membership and yeah, the membership roster, which most of that is done digitally through our website now. So we try to make even that as easy as possible. But it is a fun gig. You get to be a little more hands-on with the club directly, as well as get to see a little bit of the back end workings. But we do have to have somebody do it because Kevin cannot do it anymore. So I'll take nominations or suggestions or help.
I nominate Linda.
Linda,
Yeah.
I'm not a good secretary.
Linda already also runs the committee. So it would be difficult to ask Linda or Paxton to run, or she's not here, but Shauna, to take another position, basically. Just because they honestly, and I don't want to like take away from anything that any of the officers do, but those positions do as much work as the officers, in my opinion. Linda puts almost all of our meetings together to make sure that we have snacks and we have meeting content and we have, space and all of that. So I don't want to make her work harder. She won't do it anymore if I do.
And just a side note, Kevin just said, I'm watching the meeting online, tell them I will train the new secretary to be there to help if needed. So you don't have to be stranded.
Yes. And Kevin is fantastic. We got one. Well, we need a nomination. I can't.
Secretary, here she comes.
Can someone please make a nomination? We have someone who would like to do it.
I nominate.
I second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Ah, there you go.
I didn't hear what you said.
What's your last name?
Kale.
Kale.
Yeah, K-A-H-L.
Okay, I was gonna say call. I didn't want to be wrong.
everybody says call.
Our new secretary, who we have just voted for, is Nancy Call. So everyone, congratulate Nancy Call and welcome her to the Mon County Board family. Kale. Immediately afterward. Kale. Thank you so much for volunteering. We hope that you enjoy your time working with us. We think it will make it fun. It's also time to vote on the rest of our members, though. We can't just vote on one. The way our bylaws are written, we have to vote every year on all 4 officers. So I need a motion to keep all the rest of the officers the same, or a motion if anyone wants any of the other officer positions. Speak now.
I vote we keep I vote move, we keep the officers as they are.
We've got a motion to keep the officers as they are.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, well, that was easy. Perfect. All right, and we will continue to serve for the next year. We're all very excited to do that. You'll notice the rest of these numbers are now 3s, right? So next year they're all going to be 4s, so they're all going to be good. Which we addressed, I think, a little bit earlier this year in talking about maybe making a change to staggering our officers or something like that with our bylaws. I think we should revisit that at the beginning of the year, maybe in our January meeting again, like we did last year, to try to make a change that will make things easier, maybe every 2 years staggered or something like that, just to make the transition a little easier for folks. Because I know, at least in my experience, our transition was a little bit rocky just because Kevin had only done it for 1 year. He was a secretary for 1 year, and then we all came in brand new at the same time. So it was just kind of all new, all together, all at the same time. So we'll try to stagger it. We want to make it easier on everyone that's involved, and we'll do our best to do that any way we can. Any questions about voting or officers or anything like that? All right. So now let's talk about dinner. Since you guys kept me as president, I'll let you have holiday dinner. I'm just kidding. But it is going to be catered by Savoys, as it has been previously. Normally we do roasted chicken and rigatoni and meatballs. He has alternatives. If you guys are interested in a different menu, speak and let me know. This is what we generally have had in the past. But I can read you off a list of sides if you want to change them up. He told me this year, he sent me like a list of extra sides just in case we wanted to. We good with this?
I'm very pleased with the way it is, but.
I always think this food's really good. Good?
It's delicious. I'm gluten-free. And I was able to find things to eat.
Oh, okay,
That
good.
was lovely.
Well, then that works.
It was
That's
very
good. Okay, good. That makes me feel good. All right, it says RSVP here online. That's because we're going to be sending out an email with information for everyone to click a button and respond. Yeah, so you can pay prior. If you don't want to do the online thing, I have a sign-up sheet over here. You're welcome to sign up. I believe it's $15 a head, right?
I haven't seen his price.
It's not. It's the same.
I
Yes.
believe so.
Yep. $15 a head is what he charges, and we don't take any money off the top of it. We just give him exactly what he pays. So if you can pay Amy in person, or I'll send a link and you guys can pay via online. Any questions about dinner?
I just want to add one thing, last year, we had a huge turnout, which is wonderful, but we need proper RSVPs. We almost ran out of food last year. I think we had 24 people that had not RSVP'd.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to do a better job. And then the year prior, we had, I think, we really took a loss because people didn't pay ahead and they said they were coming and then they didn't show. So this year, we want everybody to please come and bring your family and pay for them, but we need a proper RSVP for.
Yes. So if you're planning on coming, please let us know how many people you're bringing, and when I send the email online, it'll probably ask you what you're planning on bringing, so you can even answer that way as well. You don't have to bring anything, but we always ask people if they're bringing desserts, because a lot of people like to bring desserts. But since it's catered, obviously there's no requirement. That's why we do the catering thing. And we have a beekeeper trading post, which is something we started last year. I really enjoyed it, so I think we're going to do it again this year. Unless anybody has anything different they would like to do, we will bring used equipment, anything that you've found in your apiary that you don't currently use, that you'd like to get rid of, that you think someone else might like to find a home. Feel free to bring it here. We'll set up a trading post in the back. Beekeeping used equipment has to be inspected. Luckily, we have an inspector who attends a lot of our meetings, so we can make sure that it is, so that it can, properly go on. Anybody have any questions on that? All right, sweet. That part's easy. Now we just have upcoming events. Obviously, the fall conference is coming up this coming weekend, the 4th and the 5th. If you want to get in on that, like we were talking about, they will be taking day of tickets, so you can still go online. You may still be able to go online and register. I think they may have shut that off, but if you can't, you can still go get walk up. And there are fast food restaurants around the town.
I'll be able to call Steve Roth or
Louisa, yeah,
that way they can get through that way.
yep. Yeah.
Just cut off the meals.
If you really want to go and you didn't get in, you can let me know before the end of the meeting. I can make sure that I get you in. The next meeting is our holiday cluster, 6 to 8 p.m. That's obviously going to be here, and then we won't meet formally again until January. Now, our committees will meet in that time. Our BIT committee, our monthly content, and our community outreach committee, all three of those will meet, as well as our officer group.
Which day? You got two different, I think said the 12th.
Yeah,
We switched
it.
it.
We did.
That's Mother's Day.
We did. Next week. It's the next week. Yes. Yes. The 12th.
Make sure to keep them.
He does. No, I told him the 12th. I just didn't change this from the last meeting where it was still wrong, so that's on me. It is not on voting day. Please go vote on voting day. It is the week after voting day. And if anything changes with dates or anything else, of course, we'll always let everybody know. But no, we did make a vote to change it, and I just did not change the slide. So that's what that is. It is the next week, which 7 and 5 is 12, so it's the 12th. Yeah. I can do little math. All right, and these are our content committees. I put them here because we just voted on new officers. We have new officers, and I've been mentioning the different committees that we have throughout the evening. You won't see any of us unless you're on any of those committees until January. So if you want to still be involved, if you want to see what happens next year, if you want to be involved with what's happening next year, this is the place to do it. Let us know. We'll get you on any of these committees. We have a lot of interesting meetings already in the works for next year. A lot of cool ideas. Obviously, we've got the BIT program that we're going to be ramping up. Community outreach is always an animal on its own. People are constantly asking us to do things, and we're getting requests to go here and do this and go there and do that. So that kind of manners itself. We're very thankful to have Shauna help rein that beast. But all of these things use volunteers behind them. So anybody who wants to be on any of these committees, please be involved. And that's all I got. We're not going to split the pot yet because we're going to have a roundtable here in just a few minutes. I'm going to take a quick break and let everybody go restroom, get some snacks. We may reorganize things here just a little bit, and then we'll get ready for our roundtable. But this is a good time if you didn't collect your door prize tickets. Grab your door prize tickets at the front, 50-50 there as well, and make sure you sign in. Yes. Next, if you're not going to the conference, and you're interested or have honey to sell or just want to be around for educational purposes, we also have a booth at Southern States on October the 5th. It is all day, right? 10 to 5, 10 to 4, 10 to 5, I think is what it is. So if you're interested, we will be set up at Southern States as well. Pat will have a booth, so you'll see Pat there. And we always have educational materials and stuff that we can give to kind of hang out. And if you have honey, it's always a great place to sell honey. So, but we do that almost every year. That also collided with the conference this year, so we weren't able to do both the same way that we normally would. But thankfully, Pat's going to be taking the lead on that one for us and representing, so we appreciate it. Hopefully he sells some money. All right, any questions? Any other announcements I missed? Comments, concerns? No? All right, let's take a break. We'll be back in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'll work Saturday
Okay.
I know, right? Coming down. Yeah, it does in the barn too. It sounds
I've already. I challenge you. Disagree.
not right now, probably. At one point in time, you were always behind me.
I couldn't respond, but I'll
Scoot it over here.
Hey, what are they doing? Giving it away? Put it in the car.
We're doing a roundtable talk. Yes. Which that is what this way to go.
You'll miss it. From there, man. Black walnut leaves up in here, they look fantastic.
That's what I had trouble with one of my house, that fruit tree. What do you put in here, fruit tree?
Yeah. Yep. Very sweet.
I got a ton of walnuts, I know that. I got walnuts on the ground. I bet I can pick a truckload of them.
The nice thing about this is, when you get use glue on the bottom.
January.
And I bought these things for tea.
Yeah.
These,
You order a lot of stuff.
got this, but you would get
What you got there?
a finger for a glue. Black walnuts.
What you got?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I got a bunch of walnuts, you want them? I bet I got a truckload. You can't walk with them. They're heavy. All kind of hickory nuts, walnuts, and butternuts, all three of them. Everywhere. Yeah. My hazelnut tree didn't do very good this year. Yeah, I don't know why, but it
Today.
He seems good.
Slow it down. Try to get everybody finished up. The rain. On the last couple of folks. Websites and stuff like that. People speak to clients. This is meeting contacts. Social media. They take care.
You know your hay yet?
Oh, yeah.
We did pretty good.
Yes.
There's a little bit.
Is everything delicious?
We got enough, we got plenty to win.
Yeah, everything went real well.
We end up
He
putting
did.
500 square bales in.
All the way to Monday. They were, after Saturday, they were so tired.
Yeah.
Ezra was so
Yeah,
sore
we got
and
about
so
50
tired.
acre field, so yeah. Wasn't
That
real
was the
good.
event of the year, I think,
Some of it was heavy in the bottom, but on the hillside there it was real light.
to the festival. He was gonna come, and then we didn't.
2-3 little rains. We live right in that spot where it just rained on it.
I said at this point, I'm gonna go pick him up, because if the weather gets bad, then we're gonna have to him, then we have to figure out where to get him.
2.5 inches.
Can you imagine if we'd have had to have, if he'd have been there and what happened?
We're still water.
I
don't like water in city
So
water.
you could check it out.
And all you can do is, we're about 500 gallons every day.
It's still on the front porch. I got another one, so.
About 250, yeah.
I can't imagine.
500 every 10.
I can't imagine they wouldn't. Because it's only, it's an X, you know what I mean? I'm still scared.
And my boys well wet dry. I went over last year,
I don't want to sit up here by
5 gallon
myself.
drum, and piled all his down south.
I've been eating as I stand.
I put a
I like
filter
my
in,
these are good.
and
I
I
like
put
those.
everything over and dropped it down the well. I dug down about that far, buried it, dropped it right down the well. You know, you ain't had trouble about a week ago, you finally had to go get water. It's 400 foot deep. Making 32 gallons, 32 gallons an hour.
We don't have no round tables.
There ain't one big enough.
Mine's only about, it's less than 300.
I ain't talking into this microphone the whole time.
Then you guys at the bar party.
Bar party.
Yeah,
It's held up good.
Yeah. You're lucky.
I reminded him about it.
No, she told me. I didn't tell you because we weren't here. So, I'm sorry.
Really nice turnout.
Was it good? Good. Good. Was it? All right. This table ain't round, but this is as good as it's gonna get. Because I don't want to stand and talk for another hour. So we're all gonna sit here and snack and chit chat about winterizing. I like meetings like this because they're a little more informal anyway. It gives me the opportunity to learn something as well. Because To be honest, I've only been doing this, we were actually just talking about this earlier. This is gonna be our 5th winter. I started beekeeping in 2020, so my first winter was the winter of 2020, up till now. And I think we've learned something new every single year about winterizing our bees. We've changed something or done something different with our operation. And even this year, what we're doing is not what I think we're going to be doing next year. So we'll see how it turns out, right? Let's take some time and talk and see what you guys do, what you do differently than what we do, and how we can learn a little bit from each other. I guess the first question is, when do you guys start winterizing? When's an appropriate time to start closing your hives up for the winter? I guess the first step is probably condensing them down for the most part, right? And then we start putting things on the side or windbreaks up or things like that. When do you guys start reducing the size of your colonies? You already have started?
I was gonna say, depends on the year. Last year, I had my hives winterized early because the flow was non-existent. So I fed, everybody got nice and full, and I winterized right then, so that your girls are as good as you're gonna get, and I'm gonna trust you for this now, so.
Yeah, I try to get ahead in our apiary this year, but, we probably got 20 of the 30 looked at, so. But right after formic, it's really nice to do that because you can kind of tell how they react to that formic. And then if you have a mass die-off or if you need to replace a queen or combo a queenless hive.
I'm having that because the Layton's hive in mid-September decided, let's just supersede that queen. No.
That's alternate hive, so you have
Yeah,
to
so
deal
you
with that
can't,
differently.
yeah, so it's a mess. Anyway, I've ordered a queen. I told him, this is it. If you don't accept her, you can die over the winter. I'll take all those resources, put them in the freezer, in the spring, I'll put them back in the hive, and then I'll do a shook swarm on the split out of another hive and start over. You are not going to beat me.
Somebody more grateful, right?
So we were talking about that if maybe you do another Formic Pro before we close them out.
You may be doing another one or
Do you think they need it?
I think it depends on your bees. I always tell people, if you think that you might need to treat, then you should test and potentially treat, right? But I think we're currently waiting for the oxalic is where we are personally.
It just depends if you got to do like the heavy formic treatment, because normally that's a really nice treatment. But if you had to, if you only did a lighter treatment and then the drought or rain threw you off, you might have to go and throw the lighter treatment on. But it just depends what each hive got going on.
Well, but it's possible, the formic pads you got had a hole in the packet and they were kind of dried out, or, the chemical wasn't as strong on that pack or something. So, you kind of just monitor and see.
Just worried because last year I lost 2 hives that just completely disappeared. No signs of
They absconded.
They left,
yeah.
They just left.
And that was after you had treated.
And, so I didn't know why they were doing
Now, did you do winter treatments?
Eileen comes and does the oxalic for me in like early January. So, is that?
Yeah, that's really normal. Yeah, that's what we normally do.
Okay.
When did you notice they left?
They went into the winter great, and then I got into November-ish, I guess, and then my dad died, and I wasn't there for months and months. And then when I came back and so that in February, it would have been early March, then I was like, where'd all the bees go?
They might have starved then, honestly.
Because I had to go do the telling of the bees. So I had to go and tell my bees about my dad, and they were not there.
Well, earlier in the season, they might have starved out then, because if they die in November, December, that's your Varroa. But if they make it all the way to February, March, that's starvation.
So it may have been that they needed, some winter feeding.
Yeah, the Varroa problem and the food problem are both ones you have to deal with.
Shoot, okay, good to know.
How about other folks? Is there anybody else that hasn't started reducing yet, or is waiting to start reducing, or has a tip or trick for reducing their hives?
How far have you been reduced now? 2 deep? Is that
Until your hives are
Deeps go into one full. the other one, hopefully it will be.
I think it depends on your hive setup. Honestly, we run all medium boxes, so I guess I should say that before I tell you what we do, right? I like for us to have at least 2 mediums because that's to me a nice, small but nice size. 3 boxes is kind of where we set for the most part. Most of our colonies are about 3 boxes, which is about 2 deeps.
Okay.
But some of them are more than that, and sometimes it's only 1 box. We one or a few nukes because there's just so few bees in there. You don't want to leave space, right? So you just condense them down to a small nuke and say a prayer and hope they make it through. It kind of just depends, but right around that 1-2 deeps. There's a lot of research that says that like single deep management is the way to go. There's a lot of opposing research that says double deep management is the way to go. So it just kind of depends on.
They both work.
Yeah.
I'm most afraid they're gonna start if they don't have full deep full.
Peter,
Oh, I do,
because
I feed them a lot.
I'm a contrarian. I've been doing single deeps for about 5 years now. I've got a combination. I don't see any difference in overwintering in single deep versus double deep. You get a lot more honey, okay? And it's a lot cheaper to feed these sugar syrup than it is to, you can get more out of a bottle of honey than you can sugar syrup. Or, it's cheaper to keep the honey, sell the honey. Am I saying that right? Cheaper to sell the honey and feed. Versus going out.
So you pull your, because, I have 2 double deeps on mine. And I just always leave them.
You can do that, that's how I did it for years.
I take some of that money and leave it in the store.
I never had trouble, or I have never had good luck getting spring honey back to where you can market it. And it's always crystallized and a mess, and it's nasty, it's normally gold rot honey. So if you get that all off and feed is the way I do it, everybody has a different way.
Yeah. So do you
take
go
all-
down
I
to
agree
one
with
box?
you, Dan. Huh?
You winter in 1 box, or you go to
Most of the time I do it
super come?
in 1 box. Yeah, 1 box.
Yeah.
This year I got kind of a combination because it's so dry that I might have my brood chamber, then I might have a half-filled super on it right now. That's as deep as I'll ever go. Yeah. So they do that for Canada. That's where Canada overwinters in single deeps.
The hives are kind of cleaner too. I've noticed when I do single deeps, the
What's
hive,
that?
they tend to keep the hive cleaner in the winter when it's you single deep and it's easier for them to stay warmer. It
Right.
seems like because they're just so condensed into that 1 box.
I like it in summertime too because you're not.
Yeah, you gotta be careful though, when you pull the honey off, do you put the feeder on right away?
You
Because
can
you're
find
taking
that
the
queen
feeder.
right now. If you got a single deep in the summertime, you got 10 frames or
Yeah.
20 frames.
Because you gotta run that queen excluder on it though.
What's that?
You run a queen excluder.
Oh,
Yeah. And then as soon as you take off your honey supers, you put a feeder on right away for them.
Depends on when it takes a while. Normally I put the boxes right back on. And I just started to try to fix it up. And,
Does anybody insulate? Put insulate?
That's a question. That's a good question. She's asking about insulating. How do folks insulate their hives? I brought an example of how we insulate ours. You're looking at it right there. That's all I do. It's 2-inch foam board on the top of our hives. I try to think about it like a roof, like your roof would be insulated. Similar concept. We tried wrapping, we tried a couple different things, and the wrapping always made the outside of my hives moldy. And there was a lot of weird fluid that would get in places that I didn't like it. We tried winter boxes. I didn't really like those. This has worked for the past 2 years. The biggest negative that I found to it this year is that stuff degrades. So we went out to our hives and a couple of them on the sides of the hives, you can see bits of particulate where it's just started to degrade off the top of that insulation. And I don't like that. So I'm going to find a different solution. I like the way it works, but I don't like the delivery. So I'm going to have to find another way to I guess, cover those
I
or?
think we're gonna switch to using basically, the installation will be under the telescoping hood because that UV damage is obviously breaking down the insulation and nobody wants to deal with that. Every time you touch it or you move it, it's gross. So short of painting it, which, that just adds a whole nother bevy of problems. I think we're gonna switch to using like
all-white
Flexifoil or something to that effect, like the really thin reflective insulation on the underside of the telescoping hood. That way we still get the effect that we want, which is redirecting all that heat downward. And then I don't have to deal with the UV damage messing up my foam. But you can't put that foam directly in contact with bees ever just because it's an isocyanate like derivative. So cyanate means cyanide. So there's obviously very specific chemicals you don't want them to touch directly, right? Because it can kill them. So just, live and learn, right?
So you take it too.
No, I don't. I did take OChem, but I don't teach it now.
I wrapped my entire hive in that stuff.
Mhm.
Did I just kill all my?
No. It's fine on the outside.
No,
It
it's
does
fine.
its job.
Yeah.
I just,
A lot of people use this to wrap around the sides of their
Yeah.
hives instead of just
It's
doing the
really
top. It's
common.
actually where we started, is we were putting them all the way around the sides and then putting.
yeah,
the bees
no,
on
that's
top.
what a lot of people do is they do they create like a cube, a box, and they put a box over top of it. It's just like a sleeve that goes down over top made of that. One of our friends, he actually, when he first got into beekeeping, he does a lot of alternative hives. And he told us a story about how he built a hive out of this insulation, this foam insulation, and the bees chewed holes in it. And he was like, he made he's very, very jokestery. So he made a clip about, he was like, I swear I didn't harvest any honey from that hive, But that was after he told us, obviously, that it is a very specific material that has toxic substances in it. So you don't want them to. It's why you don't paint the inside of your hive. It's why you don't put too much inside your hive that can break down, right? Because the bees will chew it up. And anything they chew up, it's a whole oven. It's just gonna all get mixed around. So
Do you use a quilt box?
we tried quilt boxes. They're expensive.
I just make mine.
We bought a bunch. Yeah, no, we need to. So our big thing, we scaled up really quickly. So a lot of our advice comes from we've got several hives. So buying 30 bee wraps, that's a lot of capital that I don't really want to invest right away. So it's not that we're super opposed to wrapping, but it's expensive. In our area, we live right along the river here, and we get a big fog bank, almost throughout the winter. And I swear it just keeps our side of the hill really damp, just really moist. So our outside of our bee boxes were moldy. We pulled our wraps off and they were molded. They had actually bubbled the paint off. It was a lot of moisture. So we do a char and stain sort of method. And I think that's been helping just because it's not completely, impermeable to moisture, like a latex paint barrier. So it does breathe a little bit. And we had good success with that.
I just take a medium box and I get burlap and I staple the burlap in the inside. And then I do wood chips in there. The only thing is those little boogers eat my burlap.
Yeah.
And my quilt box off. And then I drill 2 holes, 1 hole in the front, and 1 hole in the back.
For vent.
Just for the air and.
Okay.
And this will be my 5th year too. And none of my hives have died.
Oh, that's awesome.
Awesome.
Now, last year I thought I would try that bubble wrap.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It was interesting, but the problem was my bubble wrap wasn't big enough. So then when they came out to do food runs.
Oh, no.
They got
Stuck.
into the bubble wrap sometimes, so I'm out there duct tape.
Oh,
So
gosh.
I don't know if I'm gonna do that this year.
Yes.
Yeah, no.
When we tried the Bee Cozy, that was one of my reviews of it, was that if your hive isn't the right size for it, and if you don't have it cut to the right specifications, then it can either be too short or too long, and then it won't cover the entrance or it won't cover enough space within the hive. So you got to be careful with that kind of stuff.
The one year we tried to cut all the foam, like you said, we wrapped it around the sides. And so each hive, one was 3 mediums, one was 2 mediums. So we cut everything up to specifications. We couldn't use all the same. So doing the foam on top, it's all the same.
Yeah.
One per each.
Yeah, one year we did a custom fit for every single hive. I don't know how many we did, but we made Flexifoil. I took a flat iron, And you know the flexi foil, like the foil insulation they put in like attics and stuff? I was basically crimping it with a flat iron to make corners, and I custom fit them all the way around the outside. And I swear, I don't think it helped. I think it made it worse.
No, that was the
It might have-
that was the year the house were all.
That was the moldy year.
The box,
So
it was the boxes, not the bees.
I don't know if maybe we would have used our newer boxes that actually breathe a little bit, like I said, because they're not painted. Maybe they get some of that moisture out. Maybe it would work. I don't know.
But that's the advantage, that's where you have to look at the environment where you are, because what works in one place is not gonna work maybe 5 miles away.
Right.
And I've told this story before, people around me are all like, oh my gosh, my bees are out, it's 46 degrees and my bees are offline, and I live in this little valley, and the cold air just sinks right there and stays, and I'll be like, well, I'm glad it's 46 there, because it's 37 in the house, so nothing's out.
I just put sugar on my wall.
My apiary's under an oak tree, and I'm thinking my bees would appreciate that just because they get.
The acorn.
There's acorns everywhere. I feel so bad for them. It's gonna be so loud.
No kidding.
We have a chestnut tree that's close by. I'm always worried they're gonna get like. Does anybody else have any tips or tricks for active winterization as far as like wrapping hives or things like that and things that they do?
Like where we live, we kind of get this valley west.
Nancy,
Like
you
you saw
speak
how our
up.
house was, you know what I mean, like where the beehives were. There's this wind that was.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, how do you make a wind break?
So she's asking about windbreaks. Where she lives, there's like a whipping wind that comes in. And she's wondering what the best way to make a windbreak is.
Yeah,
You know, I put a mouse guard on.
It depends on what you want to use.
She said use a couple bales of hay, but make sure you use mouse guards.
You could use something as simple as what's it called? The snow fencing, the orange, what they use like for roads. You could also use hay bales, just a couple of square straw bales and some T-posts or, just some quick posts. And just something to set that boundary, a couple of feet away.
So even though that snow fence has those holes in it, because that's not solid.
No, just something to break the
Something
wind
to
up.
just kind of break
The
it
problem
up a
is that you
little
have that big gust of wind coming in and they have nothing to help out anything, even a fence that has some give to it. What is it?
Just the snow fence with T-poles.
Yeah.
I got one of those.
Or some pallets or anything like that.
Pallets.
Pallets, if you set a pallet up sideways, those can work really
I got
well.
one of those 6x8 pieces of wood fence,
Mhm.
and then we planted 2 4x4s. Mike came and helped me plant 2 4x4s.
Yeah, yours is nice. Yours is fancy.
That went really
Yeah.
well. And
Yours
I
is
had
real
the same
nice.
problem. I
Yeah.
had the same issue. Yeah, and I had the same issue. That's my hydrant
Right in that
right
gust.
in that wind.
So we hit on it a little bit just a few minutes ago, winter treatment. When do you guys normally treat your bees in the winter months? Or do you treat your bees in the winter months? For us, it's normally winter solstice oxalic treatments. But I know other people definitely do different things. We've learned from Charlie here, so we kind of just wait for him to start doing his. I'm like, all right, now it's time to do ours.
Anytime after Christmas.
Yep.
I was gonna say, I just think
That's basically it. Just on a note before that, the club does have a oxalic acid vaporizer, a battery operated one. It's very, very nice. We also have oxalic acid. So if you guys have hives and you would like to treat or would like help treating, you can always let us know. We've got a few folks who've gone out and help people do those treatments. I know they seem a little daunting at first. Charlie always goes and helps folks. So if you do need help when the time comes, let us know. And I'll put that in our newsletter and stuff so you guys have resources for it. But generally, I think around the winter solstice is when we're looking at that oxalic treatment. So December 20th on.
So if the queen is, decrease the brood amount, does she still lay some during the winter?
She does not.
So that's a brood break, right?
Correct.
So why would you treat in the winter as,
Well, your mice would be
Because
out
They're
in the
exposed.
house.
Yeah.
Where you can get to them.
Okay. So the mites will survive all winter on what bees
On
are
the bees,
there,
because
if
they can
they're
feed on the
there.
bees.
Okay.
Because you're,
But they can't reproduce
Yeah,
in the winter.
yeah,
So
you're
while
right.
they can't reproduce, you can knock their numbers down
Okay.
to where when they get back to where they can reproduce, there's not as many of them to be able to.
so when your bee reproduction stops, your mite reproduction stops.
But
So that's
the
a-
mites continue to live.
Yes, yeah, so it's if you hit them with that oxalic in the winter, when you start off in the spring, when she starts laying again, you know, you're down a couple of mites, or you could be well zero, yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
You know, I think it's like 4 to 6 months the burrow mites can live without like a pupal host.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Because that's what they call the brood babies, because they do need the brood babies to feed on to replicate. But while they're not feeding, you know, in the replication phase, just like the bees aren't in the replication phase, they can go like, just like a tick. You know how ticks can kind of go inanimate, or, you know, they bide their time and wait to feed? It's what their mites are doing. It's actually one of the reasons why they haven't been able to narrow down, like, so you kill all your mites, right? Why do they come back? Where are they coming from? They're surviving on their non-pupal host. They're surviving on their adult host when that adult drifts into another colony by accident. Or maybe they visited the same flower that another clean bee or dirty bee, depending, visited, and they
So
can
they
jump.
will lose them on that flower or whatever. and your
They
bees
actually
will
don't
pick them
100% know. They don't know,
Yeah.
but that's the inference, that there has to be some sort of there has to be an overlap vector there. Yeah, they're worse than
They're worse than
Socials,
guppies.
humans, people have bee walkers, I mean, they're just all always together, just like, you know, stop. You just have like treatments, some of these bees are not mine.
Yeah.
Does anybody else do anything that's alternative to oxalic acid treatments in the wintertime? I think so. It's pretty standard, I think, across the board. I think it's probably the only treatment. I think it's standard across the board. Everybody does so many different things, but just about everybody who does treatments treats oxalic, I think, in the winter.
I was just thinking, I was gonna say, as Karen mentioned, she asked about treating with formic now. The only thing I would say about that is if that was your only option, like you wanted to treat with formic right now, your risk for, your queen getting replaced, that's a significant risk. So obviously, if that happens at this point in the year, she's not gonna get back and mated and reset the cycle. So soft treatment for sure if you have to, if you wanted to. But then maybe look at something, I was gonna say, this might be one of those times where like essential oil treatments, like a thymol treatment might be more appropriate. If you really needed to treat, like if you looked at your bees and you saw evidence of mites recently.
After the treatment, they look good, like after. I did my little live from the hive. Hi, it's Miss Davis for the September. After I shot the video, I went back and watched, and when I was watching it, I saw a wax moth crawling up in the feeder box, and I was like, I didn't see that, and it's in there, and I was like, ew. So
That's
I'm
what they
not worried
do.
about that. So,
It's funny when you go back through like footage for when you were like, just a few weeks ago, much less a few years ago, like we look back at some old footage, like from our first hive, and immediately we look at it, we're like, I know what's wrong with this thing. Like, my God, why didn't I know back then? Like, because, we looked at it back then and I saw multiple eggs for cell and I thought there was some fungal thing. Like, it looked like fungal fingers, you know what I mean? Like growing up out of my cells.
What just proves you really have to look at those combs a lot
Yeah.
before you really start.
It's really funny, but it was funny because it was before we even really knew anything was wrong. We were already kind of like, this doesn't look like the book. Like, this is weird. We should probably ask somebody. Like, you can hear ourselves in the video going, we should probably ask someone about this because this doesn't look right. And then I'm like, we were on it, but we were not fast enough. So it's funny how when you look back through old footage, you'll just be like, oh, I didn't see that. I'll check footage and be like, there's a phoretic mite on that bee. Don't say anything.
So that begs an interesting question, though. Does anyone have any things that they prevent during the winter as far as like wax moths or hive beetles? Like, is there anything that you do other than the normal treatments in the wintertime to prevent those other things?
I'll say,
What?
inside.
Yeah.
Well, small hive beetles they'll either gonna slime you out, like you're running out of food, or the bees will starve, right? Before small hive beetles will be able to stick around, because
Small hive beetles will live in your cluster during the winter.
Really?
Yeah.
So the best thing to do is to keep the space small, because the less space that they have, the less of them there will be.
I think in my experience, if you have, let's just say, 10 hives, but But four are really small, but you wanna go in with 10 hives, you're better off right now condensing them and going in strong.
Yep.
And then you can split them out, that would be, in my experience, the best thing is go into winter strong, and winter is now.
Yep.
You know, so, I know, I don't wanna kill my queen, I like it, I'll nurse it, they're all nurse, but you're not. It's not, so you're better off just taking the husbandry route and going with the proper, combining it, pinching one queen off, and then go in strong. The other thing is, in each of my apiaries, I have some wrapped and some don't, just because I like to see. I don't think it's a matter of cold for bees, I think it's a matter of moisture. So I think you need a hole in the front to come in and out the back. So it has like a chimney effect, you know, so the moisture goes out, so you don't get the water coming up and dripping on that. And, so in regards to wrapping, because I put boxes on some, and I've done experiment, I have some that have solid bottom, some that are screen bottom, none of that seems to matter. It really just seems to be a moisture issue. And the other thing I wanted to ask a question is, I extracted frames, and I don't like to leave them out for open feeding. So I put them on top of the inner cover for them to get cleaned out. Well, I either had weather or I was busy or something, so the fourth day I went to check them, and they already, let me back up. Single brood box, I left one super on, not full at all. But I took a couple frames out that were on top, extracted those, went to put them back on top, above the inner cover, just for them to clean it up, and my goal was to take it off, put it away for winter. They started filling it back up already. But they haven't filled up enough of the bottom. So my question is, if they're filling it up, and you know, we're not gonna have time for them to do anything with it between now and, I don't believe, for it to turn into calf honey. Do you think I should put a shim? Do you think I should put another box and put it up higher so they see it as food as opposed to storage? What would you all do with all these extracted wet frames? Because they're filling everyone, it doesn't matter what they hear, they have to start filling them back up again.
So I thought I would be ready, and I put a shim on, maybe 2, so that I have room for my circle feeder. And I took that out in the winter, and those bees, before I got to them, they built a comb and had brood in it, and everything, like, they had fully filled the shim, had the biggest
That's a mess, I
mess. The biggest
I'm
mess
just thinking
to
of hang
clean
these
up.
frames so they'll clean them. You know what I mean? I don't want to put them
Yeah.
yellow jacket right now.
box full of frames and just, no, you did it, when you're just trying to get clean, is it like 10 frames in a box?
Some are, some are not.
So 1 year I didn't have enough for, I had like 5 frames that had a lot of money and stuff in, I wanted to keep it. And then I didn't have the other 5, there was nothing, so I made a weird looking quilt thing and put it in there, and then they didn't build in there. So
My question is, I want them to clean that off. So I want them to, take the wet frames, the extracted frames, and clean them. So I put it above the inner cover.
Yeah,
They're
that's
filling it.
a tricky one because almost every beekeeper I've seen or went for advice. Most people once they extract, those wet frames are outside for open cleaning, just because all the bees, all the bees take care of
I
it.
don't want to do
So
all the bees
I
right
know.
now. because
Well, they can tear up the comb. It's messy.
Tear it up.
But
It'll be a
anything,
yellow jacket nightmare right
Yellow
now.
jacket, so.
yeah.
And I've never
You don't want to
tried
attract
that.
anything.
I mean, I put it back on before, and they, I go back 3 days later,
Yeah.
the moths are dry as a bone.
Yeah.
For dry as we are, I'm surprised.
Well, I think it's hard this time of year because they know winter's coming. So anything that's far away from the entrance, that's their pantry. So because you put that on top, that's farthest away from your entrance. So they moved all that stuff far away from the entrance because that's where they're going to be in
Do
the
you think
spring.
they're moving from the super up?
Yeah. I think they'll move it
Putting
farthest.
it up higher.
I think they'll move it farthest away from the entrance. It's tricky.
I didn't think about that.
I've noticed it as well because I'm trying to reduce boxes and all the empty boxes are full now because it's up top.
No, it's not full, but they're filling it up. They're showing it is in the top.
He's asking about in the super and.
She said,
It's full.
she said it wasn't full. Wait till next year. You got a lot of freezer space there. So we got a lot of freezer space.
No, I don't.
Have the big box on the bottom, and have the smaller boxes on top. What, 3 high is our biggest one? So, do we need to change that, or do we need to just leave it? We never took, I mean, we only took like maybe 4 things out.
As long as they have those bottom boxes nice and cool, you know, if you open the box, there's Cooper bees up top, but if you crack it open, you notice, you know, they all come looking at you. I don't know.
Speaking of
As long as they have
feeding,
that box.
that's the last point on my little list here. When do you guys generally start feeding? Or when